Hey guys, I'm going to continue now with my tables. This is part 2 of the tables. Moving on to the next tab, which is the layout tab of my table tools. Now, please keep in mind, if you click anywhere else in your document, for example, below your table to continue typing, your table tools will disappear, as you can see. So when you want to get your table tools back, make sure that you click within the table so that your table is active. Because the moment you click within the table, you will notice the table tools is back. Right, now let's move on to the layout of the table tools. When I click on layout, I've got new options that I can use. The first box is the table box, where it shows your properties, your grid lines, and the select option. But the only one that you really need to understand what's going on here is where it says view grid lines. Always ensure that your view grid lines option is highlighted or selected, because if you work with the table and there's no borders in the table, then you won't see where you are busy editing text or typing text in the table if you do not have your option selected view grid lines. So please ensure that your view grid lines is always selected. For example, I'm going to quickly remove all the borders in my table so that there's no borders. I'm just going to remove the shading as well so that there's no shading. Now, if you have a look, you can still see your table with very light grid lines, very light grid lines. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, then you can see what I'm talking about. Right, so as you can see, there's grid lines in my document now, or in the table. These are not borders, so the moment when you print, there's not going to be any borders in your table, because now we are only viewing the grid lines. The moment when I switch off the grid lines, then there's absolutely nothing in the document, or let's rather say you can't see anything. The table is there, you just can't see anything. So it's very important to leave the grid lines on so that you can see what you are busy working with. Right, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit in my document so that I can see my whole document again. Right, and then let me just put back my borders. I'm just going to quickly put back my borders in my table. Right. Okay, now what I want to show you under the layout tab is how to delete rows and columns and how to insert rows and columns. It's very easy. Just highlight where you want to insert a row or a column. So for example, if I want to insert a row or additional rows, I can highlight either 1, 2 or more rows. The amount of rows you highlight is the amount of rows that will be inserted. So if you need to insert, for example, 4 rows, highlight 4 rows. If you need to insert only 1 row, only highlight 1 row. Right. In the moment when you insert a row, you have options that says either insert above or insert below. So when you click on insert above, it will insert a row above the row that you've highlighted. And when you click on insert below, it will insert a row below the row that you've highlighted. Okay, so that's very easy how to insert rows and columns. Same apply to columns. Let's say, for example, I want to insert a column to the left of this specific column. I'm just going to put text in here, and then you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to type here, for example, heading. So if I want to insert a column to the left of this specific column, I can just click on insert left, and then it will insert a column left to that specific column. And if I click on insert right, it will insert a column to the right of that column. Okay. Now to delete columns and rows, also very easy. Just highlight the columns or the rows that you want to delete. So if I, for example, want to delete the first 3 columns, I can highlight the first 3 columns. I click on delete and I just say delete the columns, and it will take away the columns. Very easy. The same applies to the rows. If I want to delete one or more than 1 rows, just highlight how many rows you want to delete, and you click on delete and you just say delete the rows. If you want to delete the whole table, you don't even have to highlight the whole table. As long as your cursor is flashing anywhere in the table, you can click on delete. You can delete the table. So that's how it works with your tables, to delete and insert. Then we get to the next option here, the merging option. If you want to merge a row or a column, it all depends what is your instructions, and you will see when you do activities, you can clearly see when you have to merge. It will show you, for example, if you see there's no more borders in between, like the first row, it means that they have merged that row. So if you want to merge a row or a column, it's again very important. Highlight what you want to merge. Merging means you are making that row a single cell. So we're going to change the whole row to a single cell. Okay. When you click on merge, now the whole row is one single cell. Okay. Just going to zoom in here a little bit so that you can see what I'm talking about. Right, so as you can see, there is my table, and there is one single. If I click on the new merge cell, it's only a single cell now, and usually your headings, you apply merging to your headings. Right, if you want to merge a column, apply the same thing. Highlight the column that you want to merge. Okay, now what's happening here is if you select the table now, it'll highlight the whole table because the first cell is merged, so it highlights the whole table. So now if you want to merge the column down, moving down, then you just have to individually go and highlight those cells, and when you click on merge, it'll merge those cells into one single cell. Right. Now, very important to remember, if you made a mistake with merging, you can always fix it by splitting the cells up again. If you want to split the cells up, just check how many columns that you've originally had in your document. So let's say I want to split up the first heading. I wasn't supposed to merge it across 4 columns. I was only supposed to merge it, for example, over 2 columns. So I can split the cells up again. So in my original table, I had 4 columns and 4 rows, but I've only merged one single row. So if I split the cells, I say to myself, okay, there's 4 columns in my table, so split the cells over 4 columns, but only 1 row, and I say okay. And as you can see then, now my information or my row is my merged row is split again into 4 sections, so that I can maybe go and only merge the first 2 cells, for example. The same here, where I've merged the column down over 3 rows. It's 1 column, but I've merged it over 3 rows. If I want to split it up again, I go to split cells and I say to myself, right, it's only 1 column that I've merged, but I've merged it over 3 rows. And as you can see, the maximum number of rows that I've done the merging was only 3. And so you can't put in more rows, you can only put in 3. And then I say okay, and there is my cells back to normal. and now I can continue editing my table. You only use this if you've accidentally merged incorrect. It's just a helpful option for when you've merged incorrect in your cells. At the moment, these borders are not aligned, but it's not a problem. You can actually click and drag with your mouse the borders to put them back in line with one another. It's not a problem. Right. There we go. Now my borders are back. Okay, that's then how to merge, how to split cells, and if you maybe want to split a table, have a look here. They say they split the table into two tables, and the current row will become the first row of the new table. So if my cursor is flashing in row number 3, row number 3 will become the first row of the new table if I split the table. So look what's going to happen when I click on split table. When I click on split table, now I've got two separate tables. There's an open row between my tables, and there's 2 rows in the first table and there's 2 rows in the second table. Okay, and moving on to cell size. This is just where you want to change the size of your rows and your columns. The one for height is to change row height, and the next one is to change the width of the column. So if you want to change the width of your column, select the column that you want to change. You can either change one column or multiple columns. It all depends on your instructions. Let's say I want to change the width of 2 columns and I make it 4 centimeters. I can just type in there 4, and when I click anywhere in my document, you will notice that these 2 columns are now bigger than the rest of my columns in the table. Same applies to rows. If you want to change the size of maybe a single row or both rows, highlight the amount of rows that you want to change, and then by the option of height, you can say let's make the rows 1 centimeter, and then it changes the height of the rows. I'm just going to stop there for this video. Thanks for watching.